Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for having this hearing today. Mr. Chilton, thank you for coming before this committee and sharing your story, your personal story and experience along the border. I was part of a congressional delegation on a trip to Yuma, Arizona, and I must say, I couldn't agree with you more on what your assessment of the crisis is. You started in your testimony by making a very interesting analogy. You said, would a football team ever win if the team lined up 10 yards behind the line of scrimmage? I'm going to continue with that analogy in this line of questioning. While I witnessed firsthand the lack of a secure border in areas along the Colorado River, which allows the cartels to smuggle drugs into our country, cartel members who you personally have witnessed crossing your land, it is so critical that we must act decisively to address this crisis. Could you please elaborate on what steps we must take, in your opinion, to secure our border, to protect our citizens like you and your neighbors, to stop lining up 10 yards behind the line of scrimmage?
It's really very simple. I'm just a cowboy. But you have a fence, you have roads, forward operation bases, and 24/7 visual observation of the border. Anybody climbs over the fence, I don't care how high it is, you apprehend them as they're coming down. It's a very simple solution. We need the personnel at the border, a wall, and roads.
Mr. Chilton, you described for us, and I'm going to ask you to repeat the description of what type of barrier exists on the ranch that you currently use, on the cattle that are protected. Would you please describe for me what that security exists between Mexico and the United States today?
It's just simply a 4-strand barbed wire cattle fence, and it isn't maintained by the federal government. I have to maintain it.
How easy is it to go over, to go under, or to go through that 4 simple lines of barbed wire?
I'm 80 years old, and I can climb over it, and I can go under it, and I can go through it. Anybody can.
Mr. Chilton, as a citizen who lives on the United States-Mexico border, do you personally support building a wall?
I absolutely support it because it's a very simple solution, and the federal government is supposed to protect me from foreign people coming through my ranch. And we have seen groups with armed people coming through with what appears to be AK-47s.
Mr. Chilton, do you as a citizen believe that Congress should appropriate funds to build this wall?
I agree they should. Congressman or Senator Schumer, Congresswoman Pelosi all voted to do this under the Secure Border Act. It needs to be done, and it shouldn't be a partisan issue. This should be, what does it take to secure America and prevent people coming in unlawfully?
Mr. Chilton, you personally have witnessed gang members carrying what are assumed to be large amount of drugs that come into our country that affect every community throughout the United States. Do you feel that the drug crisis that we face and that we see in our districts, not just in Arizona, but in every district in America, can be substantially impacted with the construction of a border wall?
Yes, I do. The opioid crisis is really an emergency facing America, all across America. And if they could just limit the drugs coming through my ranch, that would help. We need to secure the border at the border, and that includes the drugs coming across.
Mr. Chilton, thank you for being here today. Thank you for your expert testimony in what we need to understand and how a border wall will protect America. Thank you, and I yield back my time.